The morning sun rises over Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, casting a deceptive, honeyed golden light upon the glassy, oil-slicked waters, where 3 American aircraft carriers are notably absent, having been stationed far out at sea to escape the gathering storm that no one yet suspects is coming. At precisely 7:48 a.m. Hawaiian time, the silence is absolute and heavy. The humid air is still, carrying only the faint, rhythmic hum of distant machinery as the harbor breathes with an unnatural tranquility that masks the gathering darkness beneath its surface. Then, without warning or prelude, the peace shatters violently as 2 massive waves of Japanese aircraft surge from 6 formidable carriers, delivering a sudden and catastrophic assault that tears through the morning mist. 353 fighters, level bombers, and torpedo planes dive into the sky above the naval base, their engines screaming in a chaotic symphony against the quiet air. The shock is immediate and total, transforming a serene Sunday morning of breakfast steam and casual conversation into a day of unimaginable violence within mere seconds. The water churns violently as explosions rock the docks, sending plumes of black smoke and debris spiraling upward while flames lick hungrily at fuel tanks and ammunition stores. Yet the great ships that would have been lost remain safe beyond the harbor's edge, invisible to the chaos unfolding below like ghosts in a different dimension. This moment marks the irreversible turning point of the war in the Pacific, where the world is forced to confront the harsh, unyielding reality of total conflict with no retreat possible. The date is seared into history, not merely as a calendar entry, but as the exact second that tranquility died forever and global warfare began its relentless, blood-soaked march forward, changing the trajectory of human destiny in an instant that will echo through centuries. In this moment of catastrophic surprise, a profound strategic blindness defines the American defense posture at Pearl Harbor. While the harbor burns and battleships sink, 3 vital aircraft carriers slip away, their absence creating an unintended sanctuary that preserves the future of the Pacific Fleet. The Japanese planners had meticulously designated this specific assault as Operation Z, yet their targeting lists were fatally incomplete. They failed to strike the crucial base infrastructure, leaving oil storage tanks and naval repair facilities largely intact amidst the destruction. This oversight meant that while the visible fleet suffered unimaginable loss, the capacity to rebuild remained hidden within the smoke. The Japanese leadership viewed the operation simply as Hawaii Operation, a name that belied the precision, or lack thereof, in their execution of the raid. As the morning light fades over the wreckage, one realizes the terrifying logic of an enemy who chose to destroy ships while ignoring the very resources needed to replace them. The silence that follows is not merely atmospheric. It is a testament to a miscalculation where the heart of the harbor beat on despite the beating hearts of its defenders. 353 aircraft screamed overhead, yet they missed the most critical assets of the base, allowing the machinery of war to restart sooner than anyone anticipated. This selective devastation ensures that while today is lost, tomorrow's fleet remains secretly alive beyond the harbor's edge, invisible to the chaos unfolding below. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto did not seek chaos. He engineered precision with the cold detachment of a surgeon preparing for a difficult operation. His plan was a calculated strike designed to sever American naval power in the Pacific by disabling the very vessels that anchored the defense of Hawaii. The target list was exhaustive, focusing relentlessly on the battleships moored at Battleship Row and the repair facilities that kept them fighting. Every aircraft dispatched from the 6 carriers sailed with a single, ruthless directive: maximize destruction of core assets while ignoring the unseen carriers drifting in open waters. On December 7, 1941, this meticulous strategy unfolded over a 7-hour window that saw simultaneous attacks stretching from Pearl Harbor to Wake Island and beyond, striking Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong in a coordinated symphony of violence. The result was absolute devastation for the harbor's core. All 8 battleships present were damaged, with 4 sunk including the USS Arizona, the USS Oklahoma, the USS West Virginia, and the USS California. Though only 2 remained permanently lost at the bottom of the lagoon, the tactical victory was complete enough to shatter morale and force a global confrontation. For every American life taken or ship destroyed, Japan paid a small but distinct price. 29 aircraft were lost to American anti-aircraft fire. 5 midget submarines failed to breach their targets, and 130 personnel died in the operation. This was not an act of blind rage, but a cold calculation where the cost of victory was measured in steel and blood, leaving a scar on history that would define the next era of warfare. The smoke still hangs over Battleship Row, a gray shroud settling upon the water where 2,403 Americans lost their lives in this single, terrible morning. The harbor itself is a monument to ruin, its docks shattered and its ships drifting like broken toys amidst the wreckage of a nation unprepared for such darkness. Among the debris lie the bodies of sailors who never saw another sunrise, their stories silenced forever by the roar of 300 aircraft that screamed overhead in a coordinated symphony of death. The physical toll is absolute. The oil tanks may have survived, but the human cost cannot be repaired or hidden beneath the surface of the lagoon. 178 others remain, wounded and scarred, bearing the invisible wounds of an explosion that tore through flesh and bone with indifferent precision. As the sun climbs higher, casting deceptive light upon the twisted metal and shattered wood, the sheer scale of the loss becomes a heavy weight in the silence that follows. This is not merely history. It is a graveyard of young men who died defending a place they never imagined could fall so quickly. The water remembers every splash, every cry cut short, preserving the memory of those who gave everything while the world watched in stunned disbelief. The tragedy remains raw and unhealed, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace when confronted by the cold arithmetic of war. The smoke from Battleship Row hangs heavy and oily in the Hawaiian air, barely settled when Tokyo moves decisively to define the terrifying scope of this new era. Just one day after the attack, on December 8th in Tokyo, Japan formally declares war upon the United States and the British Empire, instantly transforming what seemed a regional disaster into an undeniable global imperative. Formal declarations arrive by the next morning, yet the geopolitical tremors continue to deepen with terrifying speed across the Pacific. On December 11th, Berlin and Rome follow suit, declaring war on the United States despite holding no formal obligation under the tripartite pact. This bold maneuver shatters any remaining illusion that the conflict is isolated to the Pacific, instantly dragging the entire continent of Europe into the vortex of American destruction. The attack was never merely a naval raid. It was the spark that ignited a worldwide conflagration, binding the fates of continents previously distant from one another in an inextricable chain of fate. As the sun sets on December 7th in Hawaii, casting long shadows over Pearl Harbor, night falls simultaneously over Berlin and Rome, marking the precise moment history accelerates beyond local interest into a universal struggle. The strategic blindness of Washington regarding carrier movements remains a haunting memory. Yet this new declaration ensures that no nation can remain neutral in the face of such overwhelming force. The world is now indivisible, bound by violence and fury, where the fall of one battleship signals the sudden catastrophic collapse of peace everywhere. The arithmetic of war has changed forever, leaving absolutely no room for hesitation or retreat as nations prepare to stand together against the surging tide of destruction unleashed across the globe, sealing a destiny written in fire and steel that will echo through generations.